channel. This is again I'm a singer, eternal voice. Okay, so our topic for today is still again thermochemistry, thermochemical equations, and heat energy. So combinations of that. Okay, so before going to our sample problem here, okay, so we need to discuss a little bit with the difference between, hello, mga palangga, basag mo na, oy. The difference between the specific heat capacity, and the, heat capacity, okay? Like that. So before going, I must discuss first mga palangga, no? In fairness. Okay. So, nakaloka. Hello? Hello? Basag siya. Okay. Sige lang. Okay, so first we'll discuss heat capacity. Heat capacity. Okay. Ganon. Okay. And then, second will be specific heat capacity. Okay, specific. Mga palangga, are you listening to me right now? Specific heat capacity. Ganon. Okay. Then this is also called simply as specific heat. Okay. Like that. Okay. We have also the last one is the molar. Okay, molar specific heat capacity. Or molar specific heat na lang siya. Molar specific heat. According to these terminologies, our formulas will vary. Okay, since we know, like me, when I was in college, I really memorized very well the formula of heat is equals to mass times specific heat capacity times the delta T or the change in temperature. But actually, there's a lot of versions to that. But it was late that I found that. Okay, after now, I was now a licensed chemical engineer after I know that there are a lot of versions for that, heat energy. So what? It's gonna be like that. Okay, so I think this is not really too much relevant, but if you try to expand your knowledge, because as I told you, in different examinations in the future, or specifically the board examination, it is expected to be expect than unexpected. Things like that. So you should not expect always that the questions will come out the same in your classroom instructions. It could be varied, something like that, okay? Because there's combinations of different schools in nationwide, and each university and college or whatever have different vocal attack, not vocal attack, problem solving attacks, how to solve the problem, okay? Meaning different methods or a different way of discussion. So that is their culture. For example, the culture of discussion in University of San Carlos is not the same as the way CIT University is doing, but the topics are just the same. Something like that. Also not the same with University of the Philippines, Diliman. Okay, something like that. So it's gonna be like that. So sometimes other school have a very clear and defined discussion, and the other school also have a very, very vague discussion, or lubo, something like that. Okay, we cannot say parallelism in the discussion, but the topics are just the same. Okay, so you are lucky if that school is really, explaining very well the concepts, the principles, and how to solve it properly, in detail, okay? But there are also schools that, basta, you know what I mean, okay? I cannot explain further, disclaimer lang po, because it differs on different instructors and different professors talaga siya, okay? Ganon. Okay, so in here, guys, what I understood for this is only one. Okay, as I go on research na talaga siya after I worked in different, companies, okay, in GMC, like that, in geothermal power plant in Ormoc, and then in Coca-Cola Butters Philippines Incorporated, Tagbilaran, and then Mactan Rock Industries. In my specialization as a chemical engineer, I practiced for about 4 years. And then after that, I go to Taiwan, 2004 to 2007, and then budding until now. 2004 until now is, overseas job. Something like this. It took me how many years? 2004 plus 18 years. Right? 2004 plus, let's see, let's do math. Charot. Okay, 2022 minus 2004. Charot. It's gonna be 18 years. I spent most of my time in working abroad rather than working in our, country of origin. Only 4 years, but that 4 years is not related to safety. That is all about chemical engineering related specialization. And then 2 of it is in the lab, in the chemical laboratory, in the quality assurance department. I was in the quality assurance department in Coca-Cola Bottlers Philippines Incorporated in Tagbilaran. And also in ChemRock. So I act as a chemical analyst for, water analysis, something like that. Microbiological analysis of water, tuba-tutu, and everything. Okay. Now, so in the, wala pa dyan ko kasabot aning tulo. Okay? Kani siya. Okay? So ako kasi guys, even though na magtrabaho pa ko, I still learning and learning. So it's my choice really, even though I am already a graduate of this course, and then, I'm already I passed already the board examination. I don't stop from learning regarding with my field. When I go to the home, I still scan my chemical engineer's handbook, my chemistry books, my math book, like that, and everything. I will never stop really. Though it's not really a requirement to solve a lot, but still I scan. Like that's really my culture. Okay, because when I was young, I really loved to do it, and I inculcate into my brain cells I have to do it because in the future I can harvest beautiful output, and it happens something like that. Okay, so I found out why this only formula is very familiar. Q is equals to mcpdt. Is there any version of this? Something like that. Imagine, graduate na ko ha. Okay, nagtrabaho na good ko. Okay, and then always using Q is equals to mcpdt. Okay, like that. Or Q is equals to mc delta t. So anyway, different groups have different attacks in giving the letters, okay, and the acronyms. This CP, sometimes in other books it's only C, but that is still specific heat capacity, something like this, just the same. And then DT, okay, this is familiar when I was in college, but it's also expressed as delta T. Okay, the delta means the change in temperature. Okay, and the D could either be a derivative of a temperature or could it be a gradient? Or gradient meaning the difference or the change of temperature, final temperature, and initial temperature. Something like that. So it depends on you, what is your convenience, which among this will works for you. But since our instructor before when I was in college, we are introduced by this formula, that's why we keep on using this Q is equals to mcp dt, something like that. And now, I wonder why also when I keep on, I also watch videos in different universities, in YouTube, something like that. I wonder why there's another term, heat capacity, specific heat capacities. What is this all about? Why there's a lot of, all we know is just the same. And then I start to research. There's really a difference. And now, let's discuss that now, here. Okay? Like that. So, okay, if you are preparing for your board examination, stay put for a while. Like that. Okay, I will teach you. Okay. So heat capacity, guys, is not the same as specific heat capacity. Though the words heat capacity are being repeated, but it's not the same. Okay, now, specific heat or specific heat capacity is just the same. Sometimes the problem will say, if the specific heat of water, which is 1 calorie gram per degree Celsius, so that's gonna be the specific heat capacity or specific heat. Gitangtang lang ang word capacity or remove, but actually means the same thing. Now, molar specific heat capacity also, and molar specific heat is just the same. The additional only is the word molar. This is very, very important because the mole in the denominator varies a lot. Okay? Sometimes, mga good, instructors will not emphasize this. You get the point? Okay? And then, me, of course, dahil naman ako maglibog. Okay, that's why I need to research. Something like that. I always confuse. And then I will research by myself. Ganon. Now, heat capacity, guys, is gonna be represented as C only. C. Small letter C. Okay? Ganon, C. And then, this defines the delta H. Okay, the delta H over the temperature. Okay, like that. Delta H over the temperature. So the temperature here, guys, is, remember, degrees Celsius, no other. Again, the temperature here is Celsius, no other. It is not Kelvin, it is not Fahrenheit, and it's not Rankine. Okay, you get the point. Now, the delta H here could either be a calorie or a joule, or a BTU, like that. Because these are common units of energy, heat energy, calorie, joules, and BTU, British thermal unit, something like that, over degree Celsius. Okay. Now, delta H, you can also put that as Q. In what situation? According to my research, talaga mag-research. Okay? The delta H, enthalpy change of the reaction, or shall we say, heat formation of the reaction, or heat of reaction only, will be equal to the Q heat, or heat content alone. The Q is heat content alone, no chuba chuba chuchu. Only heat content lang yun. So, kani Q ba? Q or small letter Q. Bantayin ninyo because the instructors are using small letter Q and big Q, but actually it's just the same meaning. But in physics, it will matter because the capital Q is the electric charge of a particle. Especially when you compute the electrostatic forces of elementary particles like protons, electrons, and neutrons, then you will be able to use the Coulomb's equation, something like that. Okay, you remember that one? Okay, electrostatic forces is equal to the Coulomb constant times the electric charges of the particle 1 times electrical charges particle 2, like that, over, take note, over the distance, like that. Okay, and the distance, the mean there is the diameter. Why? Because its electrostatic forces are round. Okay, round. So the distance covered are simply the diameter. Okay, you got the point. So circular. So that means, guys, that it's also equal to r squared, the d, because diameter is the radius raised to the power 2. You get the point of a circular circle, something like that. Okay, you get the point. So it's also called a centripetal force. Something like that. Or in terms of electrostatic or electrons, that is electrostatic forces. Nakakaloka. Diba? Okay mo na siya. Now, ang Q, so gamay lang na Q atong gamiton to make it safe. Small q for heat energy. And we should be consistent going to thermodynamics, physical chemistry, and even unit operations or unit processes. We will be using small letter q. Okay guys? Let's agree for that. Okay, this is the heat capacity. So therefore, guys, sabi, the heat capacity is the heat energy, okay, required to raise the substance 1 degree Celsius by its definition alone, like this. Sometimes you can create, not sometimes, all the times, you can have your own definition by take a look of the formula. Okay, no need to memorize the, in the books. Like this. C is equals to delta H over T. You can say, okay, the amount of heat energy necessary to raise the substance at 1 degree Celsius. Because Celsius lang naman siya, 1 na ang dinimana niya. Okay? That is heat capacity. And now we go to the specific heat capacity or the specific heat. The specific heat capacity, we denote that as CS. S stands for specific. Okay? Like that. So specific heat capacity is equals to the delta H, okay, over the gram or the mass times degrees Celsius. So the definition is the amount of heat energy necessary to raise 1 gram of a substance, at 1 degree Celsius. By taking a look at the formula, then you can create your definition. Okay. Now for the molar specific heat. So that is Cm. Okay. Delta H over number of moles and, but let's be specific, we should put MOL or mole. Okay? And then degrees Celsius. So the definition is the amount of heat energy necessary to raise 1 mole of a substance at 1 degree Celsius. It's very easy to create our own definition by taking a look only to the formula itself. Okay, so we have 3 formulas here. And please put that in your blank sheet paper or memorize. Okay? Like that. Now, when will the enthalpy heat of reaction will be equal to the heat content? Delta H. Can you see this ba? Delta H or equal to Q. Actually, pareho rin siya, guys. But there's a situation that this will be equal. Okay, the enthalpy change and the heat content Q. So this will be equal, guys, at a constant temperature and pressure. Take note. At constant temperature and pressure. Okay. Usually, sometimes we don't use the Q because sometimes in problem solving, the mass is not given. The specific heat is not given. And the temperature is not also given. Okay? You get the point? So since at constant temperature and pressure, they are equal, so it's also equal to delta H. That's why some problem will say like calculate the delta H or the enthalpy change of reaction of this following. And then the given also is like a Q. There's a mass, there's a specific heat. And then you will be confused because you are used to Q only. It's just the same, guys, by theory, okay? You get the point? Delta H and Q is equal at constant temperature and pressure. Even though yung problem pang Q lang yun siya, pang MCPDT, okay, it's just the same. Okay, you get the point? So you will also use delta H is equals to MCP delta T. You get the point? Again, delta H or enthalpy change is also equal to MCP dt because at constant temperature and pressure, they are equal. Something like that. You get the point? So ayaw yung pagsalibre ni sa word na Q. O sa letter nga Q, sorry. Okay? You should be alert for that also. Okay? Ganon. Now, through these definitions, your Q also will vary. Okay? Your Q also will vary. Now, take a look for heat capacity. Okay? Your heat capacity, guys, your formula of Q is like this. Q is equal to the heat capacity C times delta T directly. There's no mass, there's no number of moles. Okay? Which you keep on kasi naman sa college. Okay? Q is equal to C times delta T. So, if you break down the units, this will become Q is equals to calorie over Celsius. Okay, times the change in Celsius, Celsius will be cancelled. Then what will left is the calorie, in which that is the unit of our heat energy. Guys, take note. Always calorie ha, ayaw din yung butang denominator. Okay? For example, calorie per gram, calorie per marong jubuana. Multiply nyo na siya o mga something chuba-chucho so that it will cancel out. Calorie lang siya ang mabili. Okay? Unless it will say that calculate the molar heat. Calculate the molar heat of the following react. Molar heat meaning napay molar moles sa ubos. Ay sa tanga ang mole because molar heat man ipangita. You get the point? Oh, may ana siya. You get the point? Oh. Specific heat mo mas sa ubos. Okay guys, do you remember the steam table? Steam table, you remember that one? For example, steam table of pure water, steam table of alcohol, refrigerant, or freon, something like that, or chloroform, something like that, right? And I think that's usually applied in the, I think so in the, what this topic is that liquid extraction? Extraction, something like that. Never mind, but I'm telling only you. Okay, right? There's a table there. There's a word specific enthalpy, specific entropy, specific internal energy. The word specific, guys, take note. There's involvement of the mass. You get the point? So if the problem in the future will ask you to compute what is the specific enthalpy, be sure there's a mass in the denominator. Okay, do not remove the mass. And you will only solve for the enthalpy, which is the unit of energy, calorie or joule. You will be wrong. Because the question is saying, how much specific enthalpy? And then if the question also will say, what is the molar enthalpy? So it is expected that the mole is in the denominator. Calorie per mole. This is molar enthalpy. Calorie per gram, that means specific enthalpy. The word specific kasi man iguniyo na ay mass o boost. Mass in the denominator. So things like this would be a better clue in order for you to pass the chemical engineer's licensure examination and other engineering board examination. Okay, things like this, techniques, clues and hints coupled with memorization. Okay, full memorization. Full jud ha, asang tuldok sa uha jud. Question mark, exclamation, comma, everything, preposition, conjunction. Okay, like that. So, ganun sa memorize, ganun ko memorize. Okay, now, let's go to the specific heat capacity or the specific heat. Ganon. So, formula sa specific heat capacity, guys, is this related to Q is equals to MC PDT na. Mana na siya yung gamiton. Okay? Q is equals to MCP delta T. This is CS, this specific heat. Muna siya na yung mass. Okay? Second version. The third version will be the molar specific heat. Q is equals to N CP dt or CN delta T. So take note. So three versions, right? The first version using heat capacity in computed heat energy. There's no mass, there's no mole. Direct heat capacity times the change in temperature. And the second heat energy using only the mass times the specific heat times the delta change in temperature. And the third version of heat energy is only the number of moles, okay, times the molar specific heat capacity times change in temperature. So this will play a great factor during your computation, especially in thermodynamics. Because most of the teachers are focusing on the MCPDT lang yun siya. Okay, you get the point. Q is equal to specific mo rin pero balik-balikon. You get the point? Means sa gulan ng mga kuan-kuan, but this is the correct one of explanation. There are three versions of Q, ha? And the last versions of Q will be basing on the, what do you call that one? I forgot. You'll be basing with the Q is equals to the entropy, change in entropy times time. Like this. Okay. Change in entropy according to Boltzmann, Ludwig Boltzmann, a scientist who discovered the entropy of the molecules. Okay. He said that the change in entropy is equal to the heat energy Q, the same as this what I discussed 3 Qs here, over the change in temperature. But take note, the change in temperature here in the entropy chupa-chuchuk thing with heat is Kelvin. You get the point? Now you have now 4 formulas for Q. 1, 2, 3, and 4 in terms of entropy. And some values of Q related to kinetic energy. Okay? Related to kinetic energy. So, Sotero, layo ka ng kinetic energy o heat. Imagine when you heat a substance, the kinetic energy increases. The molecules will bombarded with each other. That could tantamount to the energy there is just also the heat. You get the point? So you can equate that if you're using liquid and gas, but you can never equate that using solid. Okay? But sometimes also in physics, okay, for example, in the problem solving katong maglabay kag bula sa pader, i-calculate mo ang kuan energy. Okay? When you hit the ball on the wall, it will develop a heat. There. So meaning to say, heat energy of the ball absorbed by the wall. So it's just also equal to the kinetic energy. So 1/2 times the mass of the ball times the velocity of the ball when it reaches to the wall. So meaning to say, the heat energy is not only focusing to liquid, solid, and a gas. Sometimes it applies to the motion in physics. Motion, velocity, and take extra careful also. Because sometimes also I read also one problem that states, because a lot of problem solving I saw, there's saying that calculate the heat energy when the ball hit the wall. You will be shocked. Why heat energy? There's no boiling like that. So don't equate every time heat as there's a heat temperature involved or liquids, gases. It should be applied also to solid, especially the heating. Okay, because when you hit somebody, there's a heat. When you rub your hand, the heat will produce. When you do jogging, there's heat produced. That's why your fats will be burned. It's not all the time saying that there's a heat visual, that what we mean of heat. That you make a coffee, you boil the water, you cook. It's not always the time meaning like that. You got the point? So sometimes, heat impact also. That's also heat. Nya maron kay question kaya na ni pangutana, what is the heat energy? What is the heat energy produced by the ball in hitting the wall? Of course, the students cannot understand that because we are not practiced to analyze in that way, because our teachers never to teach us that way, that there's a heat in that particular situation. Okay, it can be done only through self-study, research, and initiative. Expand your knowledge, because the instructors also cannot give you everything for that. You should spare your time on researching, different possibilities of formulas like this. Okay, so nanatay 5. 1, 2, 3, Q, ganon siya. Okay, ganon. Asa pa dyan siya ma-apply ang heat? At tumugin na siya sa second law of thermodynamics. Katong hinubit ako guys na internal energy is equals to the heat plus the work. Something like that. And then, so nakay-heat dito. So you will say, Q is equals to internal energy minus the work. So that's number 6 equation. So there's 6 minimal equations for heat energy. And you will play around for that when you encounter problems regarding heat energy. Okay, you got the point. And sometimes also, it's also in the PV and RT. You get the point. Why I told this in the PV and RT. There's also heat there. Okay, so as I told you, if you get the mass out from there in the PV and RT, and then there's a delta H formation of reaction given in the ideal gas equation, then sometimes the heat also will be asked, even though the heat itself is not in the formula. You get the point? For example, I will say, ammonia react with hydrogen gas at hindi lang STP. An ideal gas ammonia having a temperature blah 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 with a mass of like this, blah blah blah. Calculate the enthalpy change of the reaction. Libong ka, yung gisagol maling enthalpy change sa PV and RT? It's possible as long as you have mass. Because as I told you, it's in here. Specific heat involves mass, in which the unit is calorie per gram. And then if you obtain the gram through the PV and RT, then you can cancel the gram, you can have calorie, which is also the heat. You get the point? Things like that also. Okay, so you will not rely only for the basic formula. Sometimes you have to correlate with the other problems. Sometimes i-mix talaga. Mo na nakalisod guys, talagang siyang hagbong because i-mix ang topics to topics sa ubang topic, in which some students and examinees will not apply that because the instructors and professors are not teaching in that way of solving the problems. Okay? And then it will come out in the examination, you will be shocked because normally you are not used to it. You get the point? If you do things that you are not you usually doing in your daily life, and when you encounter another situation, you may be wrong, you may be right, but you cannot get that exactly perfect. The same with the problem solving. Because the most of the times, instructors will be using sample problems reflected in the book. You get the point? And then so many years using the same example, another year will come, another year will come, another students will come, because the years are increasing, right? After 2022, 2023, 2024, the same thing. They will use that kind of approach in teaching. Okay, by using the sample problems. And I could say it's already obsolete. Okay, obsolete meaning the old-fashioned way of discussion is already obsolete. How about we will vary and modify that according to the present times? For example, 2022 today, I will have my explanation attack based on the modern way of discussion. Something like that. So that it will never be obsolete. You get the point? And then, oh my gosh. Okay, so makarelate lang ha. Okay, that's my point. Okay, you got the point? Muna siya mga palangga. Oh, diba? For example, there are 118 elements in the periodic table. But now, there's newly one discovered in 2018. The elements now are not 118, already 119. You get the point? So, problem. The element called organeson is being discovered in 2018. Don't tell me you still teach in the school. You will say to the students, there are 118 elements, but it's already obsolete because there's new element discovered. Something like that. You get the point. And then it will be added later that the group in the periodic table, though it was not yet synthesized, but it's already reflected in the scientific research. Okay? So sometimes to cope up with the present situation, okay, or era, not always on the obsolete, okay, on the old times, okay, ganon. Bata, ako na napapasok ka, nakasabot naman tayo ni Gayuna. You get the point? And then guys, ako ninumduman, ang specific heat of ice, then pasaaha, nakakaluka. Murag half siya sa specific heat of water, half. Ang ice. Okay? It's not the same. Specific heat of ice is not equal to the specific heat of water. And it's not also equal to the specific heat of the steam. The steam is in vapor state, and the ice is in the solid state, and the liquid, and the water is simply the liquid. Right? You get the point? So, magkaiba siya. You get the point? You got the point, mga palangga. So, good na sa problem solving. Ayos ba? Any questions so far? Nothing? I have nothing. Nothing. Since I don't have you. Ganon. Okay. Diba? Guys, I'll be coming back because I need to drink coffee. Charot! To activate my brain cells. Because caffeine is a stimulant. It can activate our neurons. Get the point? And then, the hippocampus part of our brain cells will store the knowledge and will retain the information. And then our cerebral part of our brain. Wow, cerebral talaga. Okay, thank you so much for watching. God bless everybody. See you later, mga palangga.